actor, producer, director, coach, speaker, author. Man, thank you again for taking time out of your day, man. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. And I don't know. We saw each other there. I don't know how I saw you, but I was like, I felt something cool. So I was like, look, this is what it's all about, right? We're all people.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love connecting with new people. I like to deep dive like right in. First of all, you're extremely successful at being what I call a world changer. So congratulations and thank you for what you do, man. But what was childhood like for you, man? Did you always know what you wanted to do as a kid, or did you kind of get lost there somewhere in the middle before you got to where you're at today?
Yeah, great question. So my story usually starts at the age of 8, right? I grew up moving around a lot. I'm German citizen, but I've been in America. I came back to America when I was 6 or 7 years old or something like that. And we moved around every 2-3 years. It was military.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
So when I was 8 or 9 years old, my sister's older than me, right? So I lucked out that, whatever she experienced, I got to get a taste. I was able to get a taste of it, right? So she was very much into, anatomy and physiology and stuff like that. And I'm fascinated with the body too. So she'd bring back these books and stuff. And I would look in her book. She's 4 years older than me, right? So I was 9, she's like 13, 14 at the time. And I was able to look in there and say, wow, this is really fascinating. And I remember one day I was in California. I was living in California at the time, and 9 years old, skateboarding, and the sun was setting. And I just saw people walking around, and I was just wondering, like, how are they walking around? Because like I had a remote control car, and some of my good cars didn't have any cables to them, but my not as good cars had like a cable, right? And I was looking at these people, and I was like, they don't have a cable to them. So how does that work? So then from that point, I knew I needed to figure out how the body works and how we work as humans. And then around the same time, And Living Color was on the air, and we would watch it like whenever it came on with my family. And I knew that someday I'd be on television. So I was like, one day I'm going to be on TV too. Wow. So that's how that worked out.
Wow. Gosh, man. And now looking through your homepage, you mentioned the word futuring twice and future 3 times. What is this world of futuring that you talk about?
What? Yes. I created this word and this concept called futuring, and it's a really beautiful concept. I'll give you a taste of it. And we start off, it goes, walking through these crumbly things, looking for almost anything that doesn't bite or squirm or swing or try and take your pretty things is almost impossible. So what's someone supposed to do when walking here and getting through the grimy grabs and liquid steps that tries and comes for you? Well, for a long, long while, and even longer than that, I tried so many things and I wore so many hats looking for just that. And then one day, a great wingly day, I was staring in and then sideways when I discovered something on a walk as I was having quite the talk that made me think, I thought I'd never be the same again. And I wasn't. So what was that thing, that thought that made me spring, that changed my hop? It was something you may have heard by now, but just you wait, I'll show you how. To future. Would you like to future with me? Well, there really is no other way. Not if you're actually trying to create something or be something or see something, say whatever you'd like to say when you want to say, in any sort of which kind of way. You see, futuring is creating, it's dreaming, it's a vision. But it's more than just a vision, because when you're using only just that, you might think that thinking is it, but then everything falls flat. The reason futuring is what you're looking for is because it's almost all there is. But there's the present, that's pretty great, and simply being is pretty neat. But there's a combination of it all that I think can really set you free. You see, the prison of the mind is the worst kind of prison at all. And the crazy thing is, no one else needs to stand guard in those halls. So come with me and you'll see, and learn and live and think how to get your head out of your bum and be even more than happy. Let's go futuring.
Wow.
So,
that's awesome, dude.
Thanks, man.
It was killer, dude. I was oh, that was awesome.
So one day I was walking with my wife, and I was doing something called brain walking, and I just started talking, and I was saying this concept of how to create things in the world, how to have control of your life, how to have life designed, right?
Yeah.
And I just spout up this whole thing, and my wife said, "Do you realize what you just said?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I don't know if you realize it. We need to go home right now. You need to write that down." And we went home, and this whole story came out. Wow. And so that was just a bit of it, but there's a lot more to it. So that's what's being illustrated right now, and that's the book aspect of it, right?
Right.
But I work with CEOs and celebrities on getting them in alignment by removing mental blocks. That's what I do. Yeah. So when it comes to futuring, what we really do is we remove mental blocks. We figure out what will make you happy, right? To get rid of the prison of the mind. Yeah. So, and how do we create the life that you want to live? So there's manifestation, there's astral, I think it's called projection, there's quantum physics, there's all these things, and they're all great and cool, but you've got to put them together in a way that can then get you exactly what you're looking for. And so so in Futuring, the story that I wrote, it talks about riding the wave, and there's the wave comes in. Along with the wave, it's everything that you need to do, say, and act upon once you've got yourself in alignment. And so really Futuring is a combination of it all. It's the proper thinking, the feeling, the systemization of what it is that you want to create, getting out of your own way, right? So how to get your head out of your bum, right? That's what that is.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's Futuring. So we've got a journal aspect of it. We are creating a docu-series right now that we want to pitch to Netflix. We've got the book that's being illustrated. And what else? We're coming out with a course. So because thank goodness, the more the word is getting out, the clients that I'm working with, we're getting more and more clients. So how can I work with more people, right? So we're creating a course for it and group coaching, that sort of thing. So that's all Futuring. We've also got it trademarked and trademarked and copywritten for theme park.
Wow.
So that's the world of Futuring. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome, man. That is awesome, dude. And people can pre-order your book right now. I was reading through your website. Brad Lee, he mentioned the book should be like $300 plus, just because of the power they have. And you've got this book coming out pre-order right now for $90. Obviously, you kind of gave the story about Futuring, and what inspired you to make that book though and start writing that? And what's that why'd you decide on that $90 price range?
Yeah, I mean, besides the fact that we were just walking and it started coming out, I mean, that's the big thing. Some people call it channeling, some people call it whatever they want to call it, but it just came out. So I view it like I'm very grateful that it came out through me, for sure. Right. But it's something big. Like, even though I wrote it, when I look at it, I also see more, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like I learn from it as I'm reading what it is that I wrote. It's a weird combination of it. Yeah. But really the big passion and drive for all of it and everything is really, I think, if we were to say like what bothers me in the world, it's just, we all have the answers, right? And so many times we get in our own way. Mm-hmm. And my biggest passion is that each person would be able to get in their own alignment, because alignment looks different for me than it does for you, than it does for this person. And not only is that okay, like, it's what we're all here for. Like if we look at a hand, we've got the pinky and then we've got a thumb. We're not like, hey, thumb, oh man, you're not a pinky. Like, right, yeah. I mean, totally. That's right. And so sometimes people will say, JB, how do you do what you do? I'm like, well, how I do what I do is sort of irrelevant, right? Even it's sort of irrelevant. So that's how I came up with and why I focus so much on alignment. Yeah. Because there are things that I do, but the really big secret, I was on a client call a couple hours ago. I said the biggest secret to how I do what I do is I'm in alignment, right? Yeah. So I know what my what I call the atomic core is, and every decision I base is based off of that. Yeah. And so that's the biggest secret for everybody. So when I created Futuring and this whole idea, my heart and passion is to help people find out what theirs is.
Right. Come on.
Yeah. Man. So that's that.
Come on. You got me fired up, man. Let's go.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome,
and
man.
Then that $90 price point is like, man, I figured, I heard what Bradley was saying, I mean, because I agreed with it. I remember before I bought books. I remember buying a book. This book was amazing. It's all in Hebrew and stuff, but the point is, it's a really cool. It's called From the Salon Rebbe, and it cost $17. And this was a book that I studied every single day, and it was quite life changing. And so I said, at one point I brought it to the cashier, and I said, she said 17. And I just looked at her. I was like, this is $17, like this, and I wasn't even. It just came out of me, and I looked at her and said, do you know what's in this book? Right. It's 17. It just didn't make, like, for a moment, it really sincerely didn't make sense to me. And I couldn't. I was like, this is shocking. So I think that's where Bradley was coming from. So when I looked at Futuring, what happened was, when I would share it with people, they were having some really cool responses. They're like, oh my gosh, responses that I, again, was learning what it was once I heard the responses, right? Even before I realized what it was, I was hearing the responses. Yeah. And then, so the number is really always about this. When it comes to any sort of what I call a karmic energy exchange, whether it be time or money. And like I tell my children, it's like, time is very expensive, money is very cheap. So if you keep that in mind, so when it comes to this dollar amount, it's to really help the person. Yeah. It's to help the person realize the value in it. I mean, think about it to yourself, right? I've got a cup in front of me. If something is cheap, it's just our psychology sometimes, we should respect whatever it is that we have all the time. Yep. But sometimes when you have a different dollar amount to it, it does make your mind think, hey, maybe this is more important. So it's really that, and and benefiting and making more money off of it is good too. Sure. It's one of the big things, like, money's not bad, money's good. Is what we want to do with that energy is what's important. So that's that's the background of it.
Love it, man. And one of the things you do is you help people become better at public speaking and things like that, and help people through that anxiety and stress like that. And when it comes to public speaking, though, how can people overcome that fear to get up on stage and give their story or begin speaking?
Yeah, great question. Thanks. So so some people come to me directly because that's what I was really focusing on for a while was just helping people with public speaking because of my background, right? As an actor, director, filmmaker, I've done theater, Shakespeare, performed a lot of different places, right? So then it was like, well, I've got a good amount of credibility there. What's the secret? How do you do this thing?
Right.
And one big thing that I work with people is finding that atomic core, finding their alignment. Because once there's so many tips and so many tricks and so many things to study on public speaking. What do I do with my hands? And don't say it. It's like Talladega Nights, right? What I do. Right. It's so true. It's like, it's just like,
love it.
So the thing is like, and I mean, just today, another client was like, about saying ums and that sort of thing.
Right.
The truth is like, so what? Yeah. Like, what are you there for? So once you understand what your purpose is, once you are clear on what I call your atomic core is, which I'll explain that in a bit. Once you're clear on what that is, then you realize what every word that you have is there for. It's not there for you. You're there to impact or change somebody else's life or many people's lives with what it is that you're saying. So if you say but you've got value, well, then they don't care about the They want to know what that value is. Right. So another thing is that as you are, let's say, I don't want to say tapped in, when you get in alignment, it's just like getting your spine in alignment. You have increased blood flow. When you get in alignment, you're more tapped into whatever you believe your source is. 10% more intelligent when you're in a heightened state. All of this stuff happens and you have access to other things that you wouldn't have previously had when you're in alignment. So that's one of the secrets with the public speaking. The thing that is an important concept is that it's not about you, right? So when you're on the stage, when you understand why you are on that stage or in front of that crowd or in front of your audience, when you're really clear as to why you're there, and then we have to get comfortable and confident in you providing the value and that you believe you deserve it, where you are in the world. Like there's a lot of that to work through, which comes back to alignment stuff. Yeah. But once you're clear on all of that stuff, then your communication is through the roof, because it's almost like you don't have time to think about you. You don't have time to think about how you are even necessarily appearing in regards to your own self-criticism.
Right.
The concern for how you're appearing becomes, how is it that I can effectively communicate this to my audience? And now it's not about you. It's really, you're just trying to help people and get out of your own way to do that. So that's a really big foundational, holistic solution. That's a long-lasting one.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that want to get into public speaking and try to, get booked for gigs, what's the best way for people to go about doing that?
Right. So let's say get in alignment, right? Number one thing.
Yeah, right. Get in alignment first.
Yeah, because here's the pain. Let me explain why I'm so adamant about that, right? Because I'm an entrepreneur. I've never had a job. So I've had businesses my entire life, right?
Wow.
So there's so many things for entrepreneurs, especially, that we can do and that we're told to do. Hustle, do this, make phone calls, send emails, never give up, don't stop. All that is like, don't do that unless you're in alignment, because here's what happened. It's literally like this happened with my first audition for this Hollywood film that really started the trajectory, but I twisted my ankle. And I played basketball and sports growing up. So, I've twisted my ankles at least 20 times. So what happens is sometimes when you twist an ankle, you should walk it off, push through it, keep going. Sometimes you should not. Don't walk that off. You have a problem and we got to fix that thing. This is what happens in life. So when people are saying hustle, don't stop, keep going, push, never give up. You might need to literally stop and just recalibrate, because you're killing everything and everybody, right? But however, if you are certain and clear and it's all tapped in what I call the atomic core, now, okay, fine, now hustle. So to the defense of some people who speak like that, who are like speakers, they're probably, in their alignment, right? So they're not necessarily coaches, so they might not know how to tell other people to do that. But if they're tapped in and they're in alignment and they're doing what they're, supposed to be doing, and it's easy to say, here's what I do.
Right.
And then the other people who are hearing that, they may or may not, they possibly should or shouldn't apply that at that particular moment in time.
Gotcha.
So when it comes to the public speaking, if they are clear on that and what the reason is for speaking, right? And it's something they can provide value with, then some practical tip is, let's say, clean up some of the ways people are seeing you, right? So I've got my LinkedIn profile, I've got Instagram and that sort of thing. And I don't even like social media. I love what it can do, but I don't spend like time on it per se.
Sure. Yeah.
But I know that, thank goodness, it's such a wonderful medium to connect with people. I think you and I clearly connected on social media.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like it's got a beautiful angle to it.
Yeah.
But if your stuff is clear and it's clear what it is that you do and you know the value that you're providing, that's one of the first places to start. Because when people find you, the clearer it is for them to know how they can use use you or your services, the easier it will be to plug you in, right?
Yep.
So I think not being concerned about, it's very easy to be a jack of all trades. I mean, for me, I was like, yeah, I could teach you about sales and speaking. I mean, this is what I was doing, right? I was like, yeah, I could train managers. I could help you with emotional intelligence. I was like, all these top things. And just, I just kind of just scaled that back to like, I help people get in alignment by removing mental block. Like that's,
yeah, right. Yeah.
Can't, you know, if it spills out from there, great. But like, that's my thing, right?
Right. With all the success that you've had, do you have any failures and how'd you get through those, man?
Yeah, every one of them is a failure. Is a failure. You know,
right.
it's like
That's awesome.
the answer is like yes, like they're like constant failures.
Yeah.
So it's literally like I talk about this goes back to alignment stuff. But when it comes to walking, right, this is physiology.
Yeah.
So when you're standing up and you need to walk forward, the brain has to tell your body to lean forward to throw yourself off balance. That's what's happening when you're walking.
Yeah.
And so then the brain also says, hey, you're about to bust your face, put a foot out. So then it puts a foot out to stop that from happening.
Right.
And then the brain has to do it again. Hey, go off balance. Hey, stop it. Hey, go off. This constant thing. So that's a little bit what these successes are, right? And so what happens along the way is just like the people that I love working with, it's not just because they're CEOs or celebrities, but they're CEOs and celebrities for a reason. They're the type of person that doesn't stop, it doesn't give up, and is determined to, if they're operating 90%, 98% well, that 2% is drive them crazy.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, right. So that's it. So when it comes to these, I was going to say failures, whatever, it's because you have to make out of it something. I was just saying earlier today, I was just starting this production company, and I was like, I don't know how many people know about this, but I started this production company, and I was already booked because I was clear on what I was doing and the value I was providing to this event, to go film this gigantic event, people flying in from around the world, and I had no idea how to use the camera. I didn't know.
Right. Oh, man.
But right, I didn't know. So
Yeah.
this is the type of stuff that really skyrocketed my stuff pretty quickly. Is just taking action. That's a big secret. So then I was on, but I had 4 hours on the way up to the event. So I pulled out the instruction manual for the next 4 hours. I sped read through that thing, right?
That's awesome.
And by the time I was there, I looked like a boss. You know what I mean?
Right.
People give me the business cards, you know, and then it went on from there. But I kept doing that. I mean, when I had a personal training company, I ended up training Miss America and trained another wonderful guy I was just speaking with again the other day. And this is lots of years ago. I don't know, 15 plus years ago.
Yeah.
I just saw his face on these billboards. And at the time, I grew up military and in Germany and stuff. And I just didn't understand how a person's face got on a billboard. I mean, as simple as that sounds, my brain, I just didn't know what's happening, right?
Sure.
So I was an adult and I was like, how is this face on a billboard? And I saw him, I just kept seeing this guy's face. So then finally, I found out where his office was and I knocked on the door, and it was a big building. But I went in and I said, hey, I'm here to talk with this guy. And they says, okay. And then, so then I got in, and then here I have this meeting with this guy. And I said, I just don't, how is your face on all of the billboards? And by the time I walked, I didn't get it. By the time I walked out, I was training his entire company, 26 something people.
Wow.
And so it was like, how do you do that? So like, I did know what it was the value that I could provide, but I was and am always sincerely actually curious. Like if I don't know, I really don't know. Right. So being able to be authentic with that, I think is helpful because there's no fluff to what it is that I'm saying. Like I'm serious. When I say get in alignment, I'm not selling people to call me. You're right. You hear what I'm saying? Like I don't care if you do or you don't, if it fits it. I don't even know if I have room. Right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm having to figure out the courses. But I do mean what I'm saying because of all the pains that I went through by not being in alignment, you know, because I did this course, right? Spent $10,000, $18,000, $20,000 on these different things and applied the techniques that I believe do work. But this is what got me so passionate about it. I was spending so much money and time and heartache creating these things that were correct in execution and theoretically sound according to the marketing principles, but they weren't in alignment with me. And I was like, I just wasn't having the level of success certainly that I'm like having now. And it took so much effort and so much force. And I saw other people who weren't even having the nominal amount of success I was having in the same situation. I was like, what's different between what I'm doing and then them? So then at first I thought it was public speaking. I said, oh, it's because I could speak. And then I thought it was because I could sell. Oh, it must be, I know what to say, when to say, how to say it. Then I realized it's just alignment, man. Like these guys, you're just not supposed to be here. And you're supposed to be over there and you don't even like this. So what I do in my own life is I only like pay attention and do what I care about and what I'm very good at. Like interviews, I like interviews. So I do interviews. Yeah. I'm not going to say to somebody, hey, you know what's a great marketing strategy? Do interviews. Nope. It might be for you. It might not be for you. Right. You know?
Yeah.
So that's,
very cool, man. I always have to ask this question, but can anybody be an entrepreneur?
No is my first fast answer.
Okay. Why is that?
What?
Yeah.
Here's my sincere heart.
Yeah.
You either are or you're not. That's the
Right.
answer. And if
Yeah.
you're not, it's totally fine. You know what I mean? So like
Yep.
I was talking with Brad on the interview, and he was like, you know, some people want to be billionaires and stuff, and some people want to be millionaires, and some people six-figure people. So these are types of people. They're not like things.
Right.
So the bank account, like sometimes and oftentimes will reflect that, but they're types of people. So there's some studies that show that like a billionaire has way more in common with a houseless person than a millionaire. Like because they're just different people. We think differently. So when it comes to entrepreneur, we're different people. So I'll say to people, I never had a job. I had all these businesses. They're like, wow, good for you. I'm like, what do you mean good for you? Do you know what I went through? Like, it's not good for me. It was horrible. The whole thing
right?
is bad. You know?
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm not hireable. That's the
Right.
issue. Like, you know, my son has that. Like, we're just not. So I'm very good at, I don't know. No, I know how to sell myself. I will ensure that whatever it is that I'm doing, that I am, if I'm not the best, that I will figure out how to be the best that I possibly can, and then get to a spot where I'm that, right?
Yeah.
So that's my drive and my thing. So like, if that's you, then it's you. If it's not, then stop it. Go.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Morning routines are so important, especially to get aligned for the day, I think. And what's your morning routine look like?
Yeah, great. So I created something called a circadian schedule, and I bring my clients through that a couple weeks in, because another one of my beautiful clients, man, he's starting this thing. He says that a lot of people say like what to do, but not quite why or how. But what he means by that is that, you know, I think some people say wake up at 4, wake up at 6, and it's like, well, what we need to figure out is who are you? Because the answer might be don't get out of bed until 1 p.m. Like we just need to know who are you, right?
Right.
So for me, I have different. I skateboard, right? Skateboarding is gigantic and huge to me. Me
Yeah.
and my family, we skateboard.
Come on.
So yeah, so skateboarding for me is really important to do. Usually before I have calls of any sort, calls, interviews, communication. For me, Andy Anderson is a skateboarder. I want to connect with him. He said that skateboarding, a lot of people try to call it a sport, but he said he thinks it's more accurately defined as a puzzle. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Because like right when we're skating and we're trying to go for that ollie and everything and land it, man, you're just like problem solving like crazy. But it's really much for me a form of meditation too. So skateboarding for me helps that out. Waking up with positivity. I'm Jewish, so like we say moderni when we wake up, which is just thanks because this didn't have to happen.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. I definitely see my day usually the day before. I've done that since I was a kid. Like I don't know if it's a coping mechanism for making sure my day would be like cool and chill and not anxiety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it started when I was like 11. I would always like spend time playing out the next day, minute by minute, the entire day.
Okay.
Yeah, so I still do that, you know. Let's see what else happens in the morning. Oh, the way I eat is this is like top secret, right? But top secret to the public.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I usually don't talk too much about it. But what I do is I only tend to eat. I don't even have it in front of me now. Like dates or figs.
Okay.
And that's like and then an orange sometimes. So like I might have half an orange.
Yeah.
And then I might have 3 or 4 dates. And this is not like at one time. This is over a lot of hours. So like like half an orange when I wake up, you know, and then some water.
Yeah.
And then that'll last me a couple of hours. And then I might have a couple of dates before a call, right? Before this interview, I had some seeds.
Okay.
Like sunflower seeds, stuff like that. So that's my morning routine revolves around that, skateboarding, seeing the day, and staying present. I don't look at I don't even really look hours ahead of what it is that I have to do. If it's an hour ahead, that's oftentimes also too far ahead for me. I just don't need to be there. I need to be like here.
Yep.
So 30 minutes is like pushing it to 10 to 20 minutes is a good magic number for me. Knowing about 10 minutes ahead of time, I just I recalibrate to that pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Now you have all this stuff going on. What are some current project stuff you got working on that's coming out here soon or in 2020 for you?
Oh yeah, the docuseries for Netflix. So we're right now talking with a few of the filmmakers. So I'm a filmmaker, right? So it's all tempting to just do it all myself, which is cool, right? But I remember when I was doing film festivals and they would have these indie auteur awards, and I was like, that's not filmmaking. Like filmmaking is about like family almost. It's community. Everybody doing what they're strong at doing. Yeah. So right now I'm talking with a few different filmmakers to see how they would basically document how JB the Wizard lives and what it is that I do, right? But also how we bring clients through what I bring clients through. So I'm trying to figure out a way to document them, document what it is that I do, mostly showing people going through transformation so people see it's possible for them. So that's a big project.
Yeah.
The book still being illustrated, amazing. I can't show you the illustration. I don't have them on me right now.
Yeah.
But that's still being illustrated. The book coming out in a couple of months. Let's see what else. Turning into a course version of what I do one-on-one, because thank goodness, the more calls and the more the waiting list kind of backs up. How can we help people now? So that's coaching people more in a group setting, and then even in a course setting, and different touch points for people, because things cost different amounts too.
Yeah.
So my goal is, how can I figure out how I can help everybody wherever they are? Right. So we've got the book, and then it's like, well, somebody's like, well, man, I don't have 90. Okay, do you have like, some people don't realize how expensive time is. So they're like, I have time. It's like, okay, great. So listen to a podcast, watch some of the content that we have out there. And then we've got the theme park is underway. We're having some talks, some really important talks right now. That's very exciting. And the point behind that was that I've got 5 children. So we all went down to Legoland. Okay. And one of my sons was like, Dad, he was concerned about going on this ride. He was a bit scared. So I said, whoa, everybody gather around. Like, what are you concerned about? What's happening? So we talked it through. He ended up going on the ride and felt amazing. And so when it comes to the world of featuring and the featuring theme park, the whole point is that, yes, it's entertaining. Yes, it's fun. But the entire point behind any and everything here is that you would get over those mental blocks. Yeah. That's it. So if it's a roller coaster or if it's skydiving, that's the intent. That's the point. And it all connects back to featuring and then to the Wizard. So that's in development right now. What else? The film, maybe by the end of the year, I helped produce a film. I co-produced a film with some of the creative team from Transformers 3 and Thor. Okay. A couple of years ago. And one of the guys that directed that, I'm speaking with him right now about featuring to the screenplay to adapt it to getting a film version of it. So that's happening. Okay. Yeah. So it's again, and it sounds like, wow, how are you doing all these things when you're right? The thing is, like, I feel like when I was out of alignment, I was doing a fraction of this, and I was pushing my engine, and my engine was like redlining at 6,000, 7,000 RPMs, right? And then when you get in alignment, I feel like I'm doing 10 times as much, and I'm at like 2,000. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Hey, exactly, man. I love it, dude. I wanted to transition to some fun questions here real quick to kind of finish this off. Yeah. So I've got these things called pod decks. They're like literally interview questions for podcasters. Some of them are flops, some of them are fun. Would you rather be the most popular kid in school or the smartest kid in school?
Smartest.
Smartest. Very nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm a music guy, so I always love to ask this question. But what's your favorite type of music, or do you have a favorite band that you like to listen to?
My first answer, boom, is Lil Wayne. Making it happen. Doing it strong.
Yeah.
I also listen to, she's got like Helen Jane Long. If anybody looks that up, it's like super well classical music.
Okay.
So it's like this fruity music, and then I got Lil Wayne on the other end.
Right.
Red Hot Chili Peppers for real. The Doors is magic.
Yeah.
Magic. Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name? But the thing I like about Lil Wayne is that he, if you hear what he's saying so much, and it's also thought out. So I just appreciate the way he's putting those puzzles together. Yeah. And I think it's fascinating. When I heard also that he doesn't write also, he's really doing public speaking from his alignment often. So I think he's like just well tapped in. Yeah. So I think, and he skates. So I'm wanting to connect with him too, because he skates too. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Does it take money to make money?
No.
Awesome.
No.
Awesome. And last question for you. You were in radio, you were in Prison Break, and you've done tons of roles over the years. Is there a favorite role of yours like that you've done that you're like, man, that was the coolest thing I've ever done?
Yeah, there's 2, and then the current, my JB the Wizard and featuring right now, right? That's the one. The other one, I liked playing a character. My name is Israel Jerome, but Israel, I played a character named Israel Hands. It wasn't Pirates of the Caribbean. It was a theater show in Texas. Okay. That was my most amazing character. I put makeup on. He stayed with black pirate outfits. That was boss.
That's
and
awesome.
then my other favorite one was Corporal Dawson. I did it with Jensen Ackles from Supernatural. Yeah. And then I just saw him up in New York not too long ago. And then Lou Diamond Phillips. You know Lou Diamond? Yeah. So we did that show, and I was Corporal Dawson. Okay. That character was pretty amazing because my father, like I said, we grew up military, and he didn't necessarily want me to. He definitely didn't want me to go in. He'd support whatever I did, But when I was like playing one, he's like, that's good enough. That'll do. You know what I mean? So just playing a Marine was like, that's where he was comfortable. And it was like a bit of a shout out to my father and also to my upbringing. So I really enjoyed that role.
That's awesome. That's awesome. JB the Wizard, this has been such a powerful conversation, man. I'm like fired up, ready to go out there and change the world, dude. Thank you so much for taking time, man. This is amazing.
You're welcome, man. This is an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging around. Really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more videos from Top Rated MMA and the Bearded Biz Show, please click the playlist and also hit subscribe to our channel. Become part of the Top Rated MMA and Bearded Biz community. We would really appreciate your support. Also, please leave a comment below. I will read and respond to all of them. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.